All right, so in this one, I want to touch a little bit on JavaScript just so uh, you can get a basic understanding of how it interacts with HTML. And we do have a practical use case here as well. So the first thing I want to mention here is, let's see. So in order to add JavaScript, we can just create script tags here. And then inside of here, we just type JavaScript. Now, for example, we can do console log and then hello world, or another one we can do is alert hello. So there's a couple different functions we can use here. Now, what happens when I load my page is it does a pop-up here and it says hello. That's the alert. Now, I actually don't want to use alerts. I don't like them, but that was just to kind of show you how you can do that. Never use pop-ups like that. It's gross. So in here, I'm going to go to my console, and I can see right here I logged hello world. Now, the console is not something that users are intended to see. This is to kind of help you with debugging. It helps you with fixing any issues that come up in your code. It's just a good way of testing out JavaScript as well. You can use this console log, and then whatever I type here will be logged over here. I can even type JavaScript in here if I want. I can do console log hi, and it'll console log hi here. So the console is a very powerful tool for sort of working with our code a little bit. But another thing I want to mention here is, just like our style sheet, I don't want to start typing a bunch of JavaScript in these script tags because it's going to get out of hand quickly. Now, unlike the style sheet, even if you're linking to a script, you still want to have an open and close tag for some reason. It's just kind of a convention. But what we do is put a source here, and then the source points to wherever it is. So we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it scripts. And then I'm going to have a file here called main.js. This is just kind of a normal name for your main JavaScript. And in here, I'm going to type console log hello everyone, just like this. I'll go back here and I'll type in the relative path like I've been doing, script/main.js. VS Code helping us out a little bit there. So if I go back over to here, go back to my console, hello everyone, which means our JavaScript script is successfully linked up to our portfolio page, and we can start doing some fun stuff with JavaScript. So JavaScript is kind of cool in that we can interact with our page in a similar way that we did with our style sheets. So I can, for example, let's take this for example. So we'll call this, let's add an ID here. That means that is the my header or something like that. ID of my header. I can actually grab this H1 in JavaScript. So what I can do is, document, although it's not going to work right away because it's going to load the JavaScript before the page actually loads. So what we want to do is create a function that does stuff when the page loads. So I'm going to create a function, and it's going to be called onPageLoad or something like that. And we're just going to do this stuff when the page loads. So I will say document.getElementById, and then the ID was profile, it was my header here. And then I can say .inner HTML equals, this is some cool stuff. Now if I run this, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to be changed here. It's still going to have Dan's portfolio here. The reason why is because I haven't actually called this function. So I need to call this function that I created. So the way I can do that, a pretty common way to do that is we go to our body tag, and we can go onLoad equals, and then we type in the function that we want to call, which in this case is going to be onPageLoad. And we put that in here. We include the parentheses, and now when this function will run when the entire body of our document, of our HTML, has loaded. So look at that. This is some cool stuff. So we replace that text inside of here, and let's take a look at all of these things to sort of understand what's going on. So document represents the entire website that you have, get element by ID is a function that you can run on the document that's going to search for an element that has this specific ID. And if it finds it, you're going to have access to that element. .inner HTML represents anything that's inside in this inner HTML here. So in this case, we're just replacing that by using equals. We're replacing that with our own text that we want to go there. We can also do things like create elements, create variables. Now, I don't want to get too deep into coding stuff, but we are going to need to do some coding in order to get this to behave how we want it to. So what I want to actually do, the reason I wanted to do this was because I want my projects to kind of be extracted out so that I can update them on my own and I don't have to rely on, I don't have to constantly like paste in everything, all this entire project. I just want the text. I just want to be able to have the text and use the text in that way. So what I want to do is create some data here. So we'll say projects equals, and then inside of here we're going to, this is going to be what's called an array. So we're going to list out our projects here. So I'm going to create an object inside of here, and the object is going to be, so the first one, the things we need to put, okay, we have the title of the project, we have the description of the project, and we have the link to the project. So we'll say title, and then the title is, we'll say project 1, description, stuff describing project 1, and finally the link. And for now, we're just going to leave this as this. But when we actually have a link to the project, we want to put it here. Okay, and if I have another project, I just paste this right here. And this is a little bit, a little bit nicer than trying to update all this HTML. So what I need to do is, based on these projects, I need to actually be able to grab this information and generate those HTML elements in JavaScript and then send them over. So what I'll do to do that is I'm going to loop through the projects. So this is, we're going to iterate through. So essentially we're going to select these each one at a time. Now the way iteration works is the first element is actually the 0th element, and the second element is actually the first element. So, or the number 1 element. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. It counts from 0. So we'll create a for loop and let I equal 0. So this value is what's going to be slowly incremented, the I value. It's going to start at 0. And then we want to go until we reach the length of projects. So right now the length of projects is 2 because we have 1, 2 elements. So we'll say projects.length. So basically this will run, I will run until it reaches the length of projects, and then it's going to stop. And this tells it what to do with I. So this is saying increase I by 1 each time we iterate through. So this is a very, very common thing with programming is iteration. We're looping through. For now, what I want to do is just console log I, just so we can see how many times I actually runs here. If I go back over to here, go into my console, project is not defined. Oh, projects. I need an S there. There we go. There we go. Okay, so 0 and 1. If I had another project, let's say I just had 2 more projects. Now it's 0, 1, 2, 3. So this will loop, this will run through every single time or until it hits the end of it. But I'm going to take these 2 back out. We're just going to have 2 for now. Now, what if I want to select from these projects? Well, what I can do to select an individual project is type project and then I. And that's going to first do the 0th and then the 1. So it's going to get project 1 and then project 2. If I log these, you'll see, oh, projects. I keep forgetting that I put an S at the end there, which now you see I have access to each of these projects over here. I have my title, link, description. You can see that it changed the order of them. It actually alphabetized the order for the project because it doesn't matter what order these are in actually. So if I just want to get the title, I would put .title here, and that just gives me the title of each of these projects. If I typed .description, that would give me the description of each of these. And if I type .link, that gives me the link for each of these. So what? I have these projects. Now, how do I actually create HTML components and add them to my page? Well, what I can do is I want to copy this whole section here, and we're going to grab it and move it over to here. Now, this is not JavaScript. This is HTML. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this out. And what this is doing by adding this slash asterisk and then asterisk slash, it means that it's going to be ignored. So none of this code's going to run. I'm just using it for reference, for my own reference here. So when I look at this, I realize I have this outer parent div, and then I have 3 child divs of that outer parent div. So for each of these projects, I need to recreate this entire chunk here. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, div equals document.createElement, and we're going to create a div element. Okay. I need to add this class name here, so I can say div.add div.className. Wait, why am I forgetting how to do this? I thought it was div.addClassName. Is it because I didn't put, hold on, let me try this out real quick. Okay. Oh, okay, .push.add. Yeah, sometimes I forget the exact stuff that we need to do here. So let me see. I thought it was add. Is it push? I don't think that's what it is. Oh, maybe. I'm not sure here. Let's see. This is probably not going to be it, but I'm just going to test here. And I want to add project div. I don't think that's it, though. I think that's going to be an error. Div.className.add is not a function. Give me just a second here. Oh, okay. It's not class name, it's class list. Class list.add, there we go. Now we don't have an error over here anymore. Okay, so it's div.classlist.add, and we're adding project div. So that's creating this div element here. This const thing is, don't worry about that too much. JavaScript, wants us to, we're allowed to just make a variable. We don't have to put let or const in front of it or int or anything like that. But I was helping VS Code out a little bit by doing that. So I have my div now. So now I need to create so let me type this, div element. And then I need to create my h3 element. I need to create my P element, and I need to create my A element. Okay, how do I do that? Okay, first thing I'm going to do is create my h3. So I'm going to say h3 equals document.createElement h3. It doesn't have to be named h3. I just happen to name it h3. And then the inner HTML for this is going to be whatever the project name is. So I'll say h3.innerHTML equals projects i.title. Okay, good. I got my h3. Now P, we'll say P equals document.createElement P. And then for this one, p.innerHTML is going to be projects i.description. So that's the description that goes inside of this P element here. Now this is the harder one, the A element. So we'll say A equals document.createElement A. And these are also comments, by the way. So these are not actually, these are helping me to keep myself organized here, but they're not actually going to be read by when JavaScript runs, it's not actually going to run anything off of these. So this is a block comment, and this is a single line comment with 2 slashes there. And Visual Studio Code lets you know that by putting the green text there. It's letting you know that it's going to be ignored. All All right, so we need to have our inner HTML, which is going to be view project for every project. But we also have some other stuff here. We have these properties. So the way that we do the properties is we put this in front here like this, and we'll say ref, and in this case the ref is going to be projects i.link. So that's going to be the hyperlink reference that's going to go here, and then the target will be blank. Okay. So now once I've done that, I need to add all three of these to this div because they're all children of it. So what I can do now is I do div.add, or let me put const in front of here again. I'm just going to leave it there. Append child. There it is. Okay. So append child, and we're going to append each of these children onto it. So we'll append the H3 first. It'll go in order from top to bottom. So we want to put the H3 first, and then we want to put the paragraph, and then we want to put the anchor tag. So now I've created this div. What do I need to do now? Well, I need to put it inside of my projects section. So I want to grab this project section here, and I want to add this div, these div children to it. So instead of this document.getElementById by ID my header, I'm going to do projects. So I'll get the projects. And instead of setting the inner HTML, I'm just going to create, we're going to say projects div equals this. And then inside of here, all I have to do now is projects div dot append child div. So I'm putting this div inside of the projects div. Now if I run this, what's going to happen is we should, oh, project is not defined. Where did I typed project again instead of projects, right here. See, what happened was all of our projects, we have our 3 projects, and then it added 2 more projects down here. And the reason is because I kept the original ones in here, but I'm going to take all of these projects out. So all that's left is the header. And now what's happening is my section ID of projects is, it only has the header in there, but we're dynamically adding these new elements in here. We're generating the elements in JavaScript and then putting those into our projects div. So we're accessing this projects div, and we're just appending the children onto it. So that allows us to kind of cleanly, anytime, so let's say I have a new project I'm working on, I can go, oh cool, I got another project, awesome. Let me update my projects list. I can update my link and everything else. I can make it look cool. Maybe I have images for these, so maybe I'll add an image source or something like that as well. You know, you might end up styling these differently, but essentially I have my data all here, and now I'm able to just load it into my HTML using JavaScript. So this is just sort of an example of JavaScript interacting with our HTML. I can take this stuff out. I'll leave these comments in because it helps me keep things organized and say, you know, append all elements to div, append div to projects div, and there we go. So now my third project is going to be here as well. And if I add more, it's just going to automatically, dynamically add each of those, because remember what's going on with this loop. It's running this loop over and over again, no matter how long. If this projects list were 100 items long or 200 items long, it would be able to just run through those and add them to our projects.